You can't sell a subscription until you've sold the habit.
Darcy, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. People are always asking me, Darcy, what about this supplement, this supplement, this supplement? I'm like, are you going to be consistent with it?
My guest today started a collagen brand from her garage at 19. With her mum, no business plan and no outside capital.
Getting women to take the time for themselves is hard.
They were hand packing 300 orders a day before anyone else was paying attention.
Getting the word out there was tricky because people didn't understand what collagen was. How can we sell this product direct to consumer? Importantly, there were so many brands at that time.
Fast forward a few years, they have fulfilled 12 million orders, have over 30 million in revenue, and are one of UK's fastest growing DTC brands.
If you want your brand to stand for a long time, I think it has to be fed by a stronger brand world and clearer reasons to believe.
Darcy Laceby is the co-founder, chief people and product officer at Absolute Collagen.
I think it's so important that you get your brand and your branding right early on.
In this episode of Paid Forward, we get into how they actually build the brand.
We would personally message them on Facebook, can you write us a review? Can you post on your Facebook profile? So they post about their collagen journey and they suddenly have like
Team of 80. How do you keep people happy? Darcy, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you. Obviously, tons of questions to ask you. So looking forward to getting into the nitty gritty. But maybe we start off with learning more about Darcy. Kind of what makes you you? Could you tell us more about yourself?
Yeah, so my background's always been in food. I applied to psychology at uni actually. And then about 3-4 weeks before decided, why am I doing psychology? I want to do something that I really enjoy, and food and nutrition has always been a real passion of mine. And sports. And so I was like, I'm going to do food development and food science and off to uni. And then that's how we kind of discovered collagen with my mum. And yeah, I could use the labs at uni to kind of look at the product. But my passions and hobbies lie really in, well, I don't know if nutrition is a passion, but it definitely is a passion of mine. I don't know if I can class it as one. I will sit and work out the macro and micronutrients of pretty much every food I ever eat, but it's a fun thing for me. And I'm able to sort of combine that love and genuine interest with what I do for work, which is I started Absolute Collagen with Maxine, my mum, when I was 19, so 10 years next year.
Yeah.
And we kind of, started the collagen movement, if you like, in the UK through basically a direct-to-consumer subscription-based brand, really community-led, and scaled that to be one of the fastest-growing companies in the UK and the leaders in beauty collagen supplements.
The interest in nutrition side comes from sports?
I think so.
Right.
For me, I'm really big on... So supplementation, I believe, is genuinely crucial, but it's the last 10%, right? Like if you're not sleeping, you're not eating, you're stressed out, those are the big rocks that you can do something with. But once you've optimized that, and once you're sleeping well, you're happy in life, blah blah blah, you can optimize like with food and nutrition and make yourself genuinely feel incredible through what you eat. And like you can almost look at someone and be like, yeah, they have a good diet through their skin. And I mean, I've got dark circles under my eyes today, but just woke up early, to be honest. But yeah, it's a combination of all. I think what you put in your body is genuinely, it's fuel. The food system is in the UK, it's so hard to do the right thing all the time. And I think people overcomplicate nutrition massively.
Yeah, it's interesting you talk about sleep because you think, it's all about collagen, right? But that's kind of not true. And you speak about the sleep, the right diet, and then obviously supplementation as well. So
Sure.
Very interesting. Okay, fast forward, I guess, to 2017, which is when Absolute starts. What was the actual plan? Did you have big dreams? What were you looking to do with it?
No big dreams. So we had this product and we were just making it at home. And I was going back to uni and coming back to see my mum, and she would have these like little vats of gravy almost. And her friends were like, what are you doing? You look like you've got more confidence. Your hair's going, your skin's going. And she's like, well, do you want some stuff? So we were literally just making it for them. And it got really hard work. Like the yield was really, really low. So of each sachet of our collagen, which we have a little yellow sachets, there's like over 1 kilogram of fish you'd need to get that. Like it's intense. And we'll just buy one online. You guys can just buy it yourself. And there wasn't anything online. So then we decided, okay, let's just make some for them. So then we created the yellow sachet.
Mhm.
in 2017. And it was just like, oh, we'll just sell this product to my mum and her friends. And it was never like, there was genuinely never a point where we sat down and wrote a business plan until 2020. I'm not even joking. There was no, we're in Birmingham as well. So in the Midlands, you're kind of like sheltered from that London, like hustle bustle from business, thing. So it was always genuinely just about getting a product that had really changed my mum's life to more people.
And doing a little bit of research on the journey, there was an Absolute Facebook group. Could you tell me more about kind of what role that played in sort of building the
So
brand?
yeah, of course. Back in 2017, our marketing was literally 60% was going into Meta and 40% was going into Google, and that was pretty much it.
Mm.
Um, but the key thing about Absolute Collagen was really nascent. Like people didn't really understand what it was or what it did and how it can help them.
Mm.
So getting the word out there was tricky. We didn't want to go to big retailers or retailers at all because people didn't understand what collagen was. And so for us, it was like, okay, how can we sell this product direct to consumer? But more importantly, there were so many brands at that time, like skinny tea brands and like take this and you'll lose, half your body weight. And you can just inject now, can't you really? And actually do the same thing. But back in those days, it was, tea and all this detox stuff. And there was a lot of supplements online that weren't necessarily good. So there's a lot of skepticism. So everyone that would buy a product of Absolute Collagen, we would literally personally message them on Facebook or wherever and be like, how are you getting on?
Mm.
Can you write us a review? Can you post on your own Facebook profile? So this would be someone with 200 friends, but they'd post about their collagen journey and they suddenly have like 40, 50 comments because Facebook was that like integral hub for a lot of people and how their like communities and their social systems like work, especially like the school mums and things like that. And it's a bit different now. And so
Mm.
then we kind of saw this chatter online and saw how customers could help each other solve problems, especially if our product is a liquid. Like it's a bit of it's a weird thing to take. Like most people think supplements and tablets, like a liquid gel is quite unique. So we created this closed Facebook group and everyone that subscribed to our product, they get a password to it, they could go into it. And I
Mm.
think now it has about 20,000 members, but they genuinely solve each other's problems in that group. And we've looked at, value per customer and things like that. And I know that group had so much value, not only from a business point of view, but for those customers' lives. Like, and then customer service team at AC have like a budget each personally a month. And if they see someone post, because people post about their anniversaries, their kids' graduations, their big birthday milestones in there, and we'll send them some flowers or whatever it might be, or some skincare products. So that group's been really integral to us scaling the business for sure.
Wow, amazing. Still active, still being managed, community managed properly, or is it kind of
We don't
people moved
manage
on
it.
from
So
Facebook?
whenever we try and manage it, it's
Yeah.
just like, what are you doing, Darcy? Maxine. So Maxine posts quite a bit in it. And she calls customers every Thursday or Tuesday. And I saw her post in the weekend, like, is Maxine, did anyone get a call from Maxine?
Yes.
Like, is she calling people? And everyone's like, yeah, she does it. So we try nothing's really commercialized in that group at all. It's like a safe space for customers. Some people post selfies and then they've never posted a selfie before. And especially up with their makeup and things like that. So it just goes to show, I think, that community matters and brands flippantly use the word community. I think what we've found quite difficult actually is Facebook has grown to this older audience. And like I'm, 28. I got locked out of my Facebook account for about 3 months until last week when I decided I should probably log back in.
Mm.
The younger kind of, 30, 35, 40-year-old customers like are moving away from Facebook a little bit, and it can be kind of hard to create those communities, but it just goes to show that this in-person events now are so much more important, but you have to have a reason to bring people in. You can't just do an event and expect them to sign up. People are so time poor, aren't they?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, interesting because I think a lot of DTC businesses think about data and how they use the data, right? And you guys have made a conscious decision not to actually use the data and keep that a safe space for people, not to monetize it, commercialize it in any way. That's very interesting because I think most people will probably be going, oh, how do we build our own app? And how do we bring all of these customers onto our own ecosystem so that we hold the data, not Facebook?
If we could get people before their subscription journey or before starting Absolute Collagen into that group, it would be like an instant conversion because it's like, oh, there's the proof. But it would then lack that kind of stability and safety net for a lot of people if it was kind of open for them. And then I have this big bugbear about apps that I think your app needs to be really good, and it needs to be a place where people are going to go and actually do something. Like, so many companies and brands have apps for app's sake. And I mean, I could scroll through 6 full pages on my phone, I reckon, of different apps. And I could probably, well, I had a new phone about 6 months ago, and I can tell you that not all of them are re-downloaded. But you are right. Things are so accessible now, aren't they? Especially
Yeah.
with like the LLMs and things like that. It's like, does someone really need another place to go?
Yeah, absolutely. I think a number of apps that people will have that they'll never use. Yeah, you really got to add value somehow, and if you can't add that value, probably not worth doing because you just become another app, right? So yeah, no, that's very interesting. One further question around the Facebook group: did you end up doing any new product development off the back of things that you learned from the Facebook group?
Yeah, definitely. One of the biggest things for us that groups helped us with is real-time feedback about products. We had a big issue maybe 4 years ago with inconsistent product, and the group was a really good place for us to kind of take measure on like where we are with things, because not everyone will email in or, direct message you, but they'll post a comment on the group about, oh, this product tasted us a bit strange. And then it was really enabled us to outreach to those products, or it was a bit different. We've actually just undergone a big taste transformation program, and our product is now way juicier, way better tasting, better texture, and people are really
Really?
happy with it. And the data on that is compelling when you're looking at sort of churn figures.
Yeah.
But we were able to speak to people in that group, ask them about, what is your preferred flavor, those kind of things. And then also invite them into the office. So like that is the kind of thing we use the group for, is, okay, we want to do a taste test this date in Birmingham or wherever it might be. Is anyone available? And people tend to really enjoy that kind of contact, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's enabled a lot of mainly EPD, so existing product development, than the new product development for sure. Because
I
it's
see.
funny, we launched a kind of, your range always ends up being sort of good, better, best, like tiered approach. And we launched a really targeted range. So it's existing clinically proven collagen, but with additional skin benefits or additional hair benefits. When we got all our customers from the group into the office, about 15 of them were like, okay, this is our new Skin Pro and this is our new Hair Pro product. It's got exactly the same ingredients as your current product, but for skin, it's got added hyaluronic acid, a clinically proven benefit, and it will help with dewiness and glow. And for hair, it's got an ingredient called keratin, and it will help the hair stay in the growth phase for longer. And they're all like, well, I don't want that. I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, well, this product's already amazing. I'm not changing. Like, I get those benefits. I don't need it.
Right.
And when we're actually looking, it's new customers that is bringing it, and they really like the added additional benefits, but existing customers are really happy.
Yeah.
So it can be like a blessing in disguise sometimes.
Mm.
Then also what I've had to learn is, if we do invite them into the office, Maxine or me can't be in the same room because they won't give honest feedback, and I'll just say everything's great.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Did you do one of those behind a mirror screen where you can still hear them and see them? I've been in one of those focus groups where I've actually been on the other side of the screen, just listening in to seeing what people are saying and almost prompting the people to say, actually, can you ask this follow-up question? I don't know if you did anything like
Yeah,
that.
I do love if we do qualitative
Mm,
research. You
mm,
generally do that virtually
yeah.
now, how we've done it, and you can sit there with your camera off. So that's like basically the same, right?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. Wow, okay. Interesting to know that the Facebook group and what you learned from that Facebook group actually is coming in handy for new product development, but also the feedback is invaluable. I mean, I speak to my wife a lot about this, and she's like, you know what, there's so many products that I'll use and then they'll change something and I don't want to use it anymore because I was just getting exactly what I needed. That's the reason why I was with them to begin with. So I think that kind of rings true with what you've experienced as well. Fascinating. Okay, moving on, I guess, in terms of one of the things that you mentioned was subscription product, right? And so, Absolute Collagen isn't a one-off purchase. And what you're trying to do is to grow the business, bring in new customers into the business all the time. How do you sell a subscription product to someone who's potentially never heard of you before?
Yeah, it's really interesting. I genuinely don't believe you can sell, like, you can't sell a subscription until you've sold the habit and the habit behind the product. And you see brands all the time trying to do subscription, because if you look at the lifetime value of a subscription purchase versus a one-time, there's significantly more, right? even if the product doesn't make sense on a subscription. If you can capture like 20-30% of people. So for us, so if you look at our product, we sell it in a one-time purchase, a 14-day delivery, or a 28-day delivery. So you're going to get every 2 weeks or every 4 weeks, or you're just going to buy it as a one-off. And then the subscriptions are slightly discounted, roughly 20%. But then you say, well, does it work after 2 weeks? You're like, no. There's the key thing. So we've got clinical trials and data that you're going to get good results after 6 weeks, but you're going to get even better results after 12 weeks. And we've got clinically proven placebo-controlled trials, peer-reviewed, published on that. With collagen, education is absolutely everything. And so for us, our like top of funnel, middle of funnel marketing execution is really reinforcing, like, take it every day. You need to like commit to the habit. Like our email flows, our follow-up, once you've got someone to purchase, is then okay, like, because in our clinicals, we had a group take the product every other day, and they experienced after the 12 weeks 4 times less results in certain aspects, a 7% decrease in wrinkles rather than a 28% decrease in wrinkles. And so it's actually wild that habit. And people are always asking me, Darcy, what about this supplement, this supplement, this supplement? I'm like, are you going to be consistent with it? They're like, I'm like, just commit to one thing and do it well. Don't do 3 things badly. I'm a genuine believer in that. So for us, it's the communication is like less about buying collagen, selling collagen. It's more about, we're going to create this like routine, and it's a habit, and it's like a lifestyle thing. And when you speak to customers about why they take their product, it's like those yellow sachets. I've got one down here. So these yellow sachets, it's like when they take this product, like for a lot of people, this is the first time in a long time that they've done something for themselves. So it's really enforcing that kind of like emotional belief. And it's more than a collagen supplement for a lot of people. This is time for me and time to do something for myself. So it's kind of selling that whole lifestyle. If someone buys it and hasn't committed to it, really, they're not going to see results. And quite frankly, there's no point in them taking the product.
Yeah, totally makes sense. Do you feel like you've cracked it? Have you cracked that kind of emotional tie-in? Busy moms, for example, that buyer persona. And, this is kind of your moment to relax and look after yourself, look after your skin. Do you personally feel you've cracked it, or do you think that's still an uphill battle? Still chipping away at it, but you haven't quite cracked it yet?
I think getting women to, because our customers generally 92% women, getting women to actually take time for themselves is really hard, because a lot of them think, you ask people, okay, what have you done for yourself this week? And they're like, oh gosh, not a lot. I'm like, well, what has so-and-so done? Or, your partner maybe, or whatever. And they can list things. And they're like, oh, but that's just how it is. And getting women to take the time for themselves is hard. I'm really bad at recognizing when we've done something well. So I'm normally like on the aspect that we haven't got there yet. But I know that, well, the way the kind of marketing's developed over the last 10 years is insane, isn't it? And I don't really understand now how small brands starting can actually compete, unless they've got like sick hot content. How you're supposed to do everything and be everywhere and show up in every single place is super hard. But I definitely feel like we've got like the ecosystem and the brand consistency and the messaging clear. So that's what we've really done over the past couple of years, is like, you can now go to any of our platforms and it's Absolute Collagen. It might be slightly different from platform to platform. Like, TikTok's going to vary for Instagram, and Instagram's a bit more polished, for instance. That you're going to get sort of consistent messages rather than Darcy or Maxine or us experts trying to tell you everything about the product. So yeah, we've definitely got that kind of a big thing about Absolute Collagen as well is the expert approach. You've got that emotional resonance, but then you've got the trust and credibility in the experts that we use, and that's super important to people.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. Moving on to the acquisition side. I was kind of listening to one of your other podcasts, and I think it's 80 to 90% of your ad spend went into Meta at one point. There would have been kind of a point where you've said, okay, do we actually push, we need to push this harder, but do we push more budget into Meta, or do we actually diversify our channels? When you got to those crossroads, like, what was the decision making like? What were you thinking, and what did you end up doing?
For ages, we never used influencers. That was my conscious decision. I always thought they needed to take the product for 12 weeks and then commit to it and say it was a good thing. And influencers now is a huge channel, isn't it? So even on Meta, you've got about 3 different channels within the one platform, probably more actually. So yeah, it was more like 80-20 actually, Meta, Google in the early days. And we were so heavily reliant. Like we had one product, it was sold in basically one channel, being Meta. we were reliant on one supplier and we used to ship everything from our house. Like, not a very secure business really in the early days.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was just showing up where our customers were. And we've always tried to be like early adopters of new programs and new platforms and things.
Yeah.
So for us, YouTube's quite a good one because we have a lot of long form content that can kind of sit in the background and people can kind of double click into it if they want to. So YouTube works quite well for like a top of funnel aspect. But I think it's also about deciding what you want to do and where you want to show up. Like once you know your customers, like who they are, and we've got kind of like two distinct personas, and one of those like busy mum, for instance. Like where are they showing up? Pinterest's actually a really interesting one for us, and recipe content. We've got a new powder product, so how can we do kind of like aesthetically pleasing videos on Pinterest, for instance? Like Reddit is cool, but kind of probably more tech bro than beauty supplement bar. So it was really for us about how can we test different platforms and put enough money in there to do something, but also do it well, because I hate it when you might, okay, I'm going to test Reddit or I'm going to test Pinterest. I'm just going to repurpose my meta ads. Well, it's not going to work. You need to go in it with enough budget, with enough spend, with enough creative to actually make it work. One thing we've never really done is like face-to-face selling, for instance. I think that would probably work actually quite well for us. But it's more on, we haven't really got the resource or time at the moment resource to properly invest in the training and getting kind of on the ground teams there. So I think for us, it's about like, what is the next priority, and also what's growing, like what channels are growing and how can you fit in there, and where are your competitors not as well.
Well, you were one of the first ones, right? When you started in terms of collagen. And so I guess there would have been copycat competitors coming in, trying different channels and different things. As you diversified from Meta, Meta and Google was always there. YouTube, you mentioned already. TikTok played a part in sort of growth, acquisition side of things, or well, not
Not
quite.
really. We are on TikTok and we do TikTok Shop. We don't do 12 hours of lives a day. Which, to be fair, is becoming a lot more premium now. You're seeing a lot of premium brands, and one of the kind of poison chalices, I guess, of AC is I never want the subscriber to be worse off. So we have a one-time price, we have a subscription price.
Yeah.
But then when you're going to TikTok Shop or even Amazon, Amazon buy box price driven, especially TikTok, like you need that slash figure. So we kind of try and add value in different ways on, say, TikTok, and it might be like an exclusive bundle, and it's still be discounted, but won't be, the likes of like 30, 40, 50% that you see. Get some bargains. It's great.
Yeah, no, interesting. Is it you want to stay clear from discounting or heavy discounting, and so that you're very careful about kind of what channels and the strategy to acquire customers on the channels. Moving on, just trying to think if there's any other question I had around channels, but I think you've answered everything. Just moving on to kind of the internal setup. So most businesses will hire a CMO. You did things a little bit differently because you have separate directors for acquisition, for brand, for retention. How does it actually work in practice? Because you got sort of 3 people wearing different hats, whereas normally it'd just be a CMO making those decisions.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we have the retention bucket, the acquisition bucket, and the brand bucket. And I think as long as they're all sharing the same goal, it's equally important. With a subscription business, with a lot of businesses, most of your focus will be on getting that customer through the door and that thing. But if we nurture customers and, we'll look after them, we'll give them information, we'll send them gifts and things like that. If you genuinely care and nurture that customer, your retention program, it should be, if not more important than that acquisition program. Like you'll see, last year, I think it was Netflix's subscriber numbers started going down for the first time. And you have to get fundamentally better at acquiring customers or better at retaining customers. Otherwise, you just got a leaky hole, haven't you? But yeah, we have separate functions that all kind of have the same goal, really. And even acquisition, like sometimes they'll want to put a promo offer on and we're like, well, is that the best? Is it driving the best behavior? Is that driving them to, we start doing a 3-month subscription offer, which is proving really popular actually. But are we promoting the right behavior that we want? So if we're bringing someone on a promotion, for instance, they genuinely will cancel before someone that isn't on a promotion that's been brought on because they're less invested. So that's probably the trickiest part, is not having one kind of joined up like a CMO to make those decisions. But the team are so great at navigating that. And we're actually hiring for a CMO at the moment. I will, 10 years later.
Does the CMO kind of sit above these 3 roles, or? Yeah.
Yeah, so this person should hopefully have basically brand marketing and digital report. And one of the biggest downfalls actually is having them in separate places is probably creative. So we've got two creative hubs. One of them's mainly editing, resizing, that kind of thing. And then you have the more sort of brand led work, and but they both sit in two different teams, which can be quite difficult.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's a couple of nuances to it, but it's worked for us thus far, but we think we can. And also, we've tried to hire CMOs before in the past. Up until this point, you've really struggled to get a CMO that knows direct to consumer as well as they know retail or brand or digital versus brand, because traditionally they were very separate. And so it's only this point now where you actually, okay, people haven't just been classically trained in brand. They know digital because they've lived in it for the last 5 years. So we're able to get a CMO of much better caliber because they can now do both and there's more in the market, if that makes sense.
Yeah, the market's matured. Absolutely. I think kind of post-COVID, e-com really shot off, didn't they? And then a lot of brands, so significant growth, and and obviously, generally speaking, when you start off with a brand, sort of startup days, you're wearing many hats, and I think those are the kind of people that now got 5 years, 6 years under their belt. And I think good to your caliber point, there's more in the market than there would have been 5-6 years ago. So no, that totally makes sense. And I think I was going to ask you a question about, I think as an agency, we have these conversations oftentimes with brands where they're like, okay, ugly ads, right? And ugly ads win. Actually, also a video on that on that topic, but you have ugly ads that win acquisition, right? They acquire customers for you. And then you have branded ads that are doing a somewhat different job. Yes, they acquire customers, they're doing, but potentially not as efficient as ugly ads, let's say. So post-it notes ads and, making things look more social than branded. And that's always a challenge internally within brands. And it sounds like you had similar dichotomy where one person's pulling in one direction, another person. Who makes the final decision? Is it Maxine? Is it yourself? Like, who's going, no, we'll just go live with this.
We
When is
have
it like,
really good attribution modeling.
right? Okay.
So I think we're able to pull it apart quite well. Like we turned off Meta top of funnel, for instance. And for the first 2 weeks, it's great. I'm like, this is wonderful. Then we weren't bringing people in on those performance-led ads. Brand-led ads for that kind of reach. And then it funnels through to bottom funnel or funnels through to your buy now ads with a static image and an offer maybe.
Yeah.
And they're not ready to sort of convert. So I think the best brands are the brands that balances performance and the brand ads together. It's also about like, there's so many, especially in America and supplements, there's so many brands doing either or. And the ones that are going to be here to stay, I think, are the ones that are doing the kind of brand-led stuff. Because I think with supplements as well, there's so many commodity-based brands out there all selling. Generally, it's actually an article in the Times yesterday that basically has done this big expose on the supplement industry. And me and Maxine have been waiting for something. We've been trying to actually push it forward because there is so much crap out there. There is so much. Buy magnesium on Amazon, it's probably nothing in it. Buy cheap fish oils, you're just eating rancid fish oil, like genuinely. So whilst the performance-led stuff is so important, I think consumers are quite savvy and they want to be emotionally invested and connected, and especially be able to find out, like, see through the weeds in terms of clinical performance and stuff. But performance obviously matters, but I think it has to be fed by that like stronger brand world and clearer reasons to believe if you want your brand to stand for a long time. But equally, some people just want to make a quick buck, right? And they might be doing the performance-based stuff, but Absolute Collagen will be here in 2050.
Yeah. No, I think, you're absolutely right. I think, you've got to, and I think when clinical trials are not cheap, and so you have to be a substantial brand to be able to do those, unlike some sort of, here today, gone tomorrow type brands. You mentioned the attribution modeling, you feel like you've got that on point. Do you mind me asking what you use? Is there any particular tech you use for that? Is it in-house, built in-house and stuff? Yeah.
I'll probably get this wrong, but we use Salesforce and Tableau, I believe. For Tableau, it's like our data integration system, and then we push that all into Salesforce to sort of model it out.
Yeah.
I mean, even that's difficult. There's obviously platforms that are a bit more plug and play, like a Triple Whale and things like that. It's funny working with agencies, and obviously they have their own MMMs, and you're then going, well, this is saying this. They're like, well, this is saying this. And it's always a balance in between, isn't it? No one's ever right because you can't be.
No, you're totally right. You cannot get two platforms to agree.
Yeah.
numbers and numbers. So no matter how hard you try, and therefore you can look at it as a sort of a sunken cost fallacy type scenario where you've gone, but yeah, we're paying 100 grand a year for this. This must be right.
Yeah.
You end up kind of sometimes making those decisions as such, but yeah, no one's got a perfect answer,
I think
unfortunately, as far as attribution is concerned.
that's a really difficult thing, I think, for younger brands as well. Like if they're going to just
Mm,
start a Meta, say, or something, like our Meta CPAs are the highest from our channels
mm.
around, but if we pull them, then everything else goes awry.
Yeah.
But if someone's just doing Meta and they're looking at their costs, it's usually quite significant. And I'm like, well, you need to pair it with X, Y, Z, and have you got this up and this, and there's so many jobs to be done. Yeah, it's a lot more complicated world now for sure.
I guess the next question, so we touched upon creatives a little bit. How would you say your creatives have evolved over a period like since 2017, since you started doing Meta? I think we touched upon different creative styles and formatting for different channels. So there's that. But as you've deployed bigger budgets into existing channels, how have your creatives evolved?
Our creatives at the beginning were our marketing agency, which we still work with,
Yeah.
going, Darcy, you've got absolutely no product shots or videos. What are you going to do? And we go, oh, what do you mean? So I'm going, oh, well, we're going to come to your house and we're going to take some photos and videos. And like, yeah, of course, fine. Come up, see Maxine. Bear in mind, this is our house with, at the time, 5 desks in the living room, everywhere actually, and collagen literally coming out of everyone's eyeballs. And so we were like, we'll do a day in the life. I remember they dropped Maxine, and Maxine dropped on the train station after, and they just did a video of Maxine speaking about mistakes. And it was quite like unpolished and just her chatting, driving along. And then we did the day in the life video. They were our best performing ads for like a year and a half. Like, I mean, you can't get ads to last longer than 2 hours at the moment, can you, without them fatiguing? So it's quite impressive, really. But the ads that worked really in the early days was stronger founder presence, building relationships, and kind of more of a kind of UGC approach. So our creators literally funneled into selfies, a selfie of our customers. We used to perform so well. UGC was actually, now everywhere, but in 2017, quite novelty. So our customers speaking about their experiences, and then Maxine speaking about generally just her past and what drove her to start Absolute Collagen. Now our ads are a lot more polished, and we still have the sort of founder-led stuff, but we pair that with our ambassadors and our experts, and everything generally looks quite cohesive. But we made the biggest mistake actually last year. It was a 20 grand mistake. We actually just recorded this amazing shoot with all our experts, and they were all the same sofa with the same background, speaking about different things, but the same sofa and the same background.
Right.
And you have the Andromeda update with Meta. It just thought all of our content was the same content, even though it was different. And the ads fatigued within 7 days. And that shoot was worth it because we have it on the website and it's really great for credibility and stuff. But it's a completely different way of looking at things now than it was. And so now we have our experts, but our nutritionist will be in a kitchen and our dermatologist will be in a dermatology studio. Our esthetician will be in her clinic, or might be in her office, for instance. And then we've just learned to subtly brand hue by having yellow books in the background or a yellow mug. And yeah, that kind of evolves over time as well. And I think it's so important that you get your brand and your branding right early on. Otherwise, you just fail a bit with it. And well, if you're a brand-led brand, I mean, you might just be trying to sell a commodity, but otherwise, yeah, it's hard to show up in different platforms, appease the algorithm, and actually look cohesive as a brand.
Honestly, it's Andromeda 2026, 27 will be something different. So yeah, I don't think that you could have done anything to prevent that 20 grand mistake. Yeah, things are changing so quickly. But yeah, no, very kind of interesting story, and thank you for sharing that. I think a lot of people don't admit to mistakes. I guess moving on to sort of scaling the brand, like what's the hardest thing about sort of scaling a brand that's built on personal trust? Like your brand's very much about Maxine, yourself, like your stories, and you've spoken about that one ad doing really, really well for a year and a half because people really gravitated towards you guys. Yeah, how'd you scale you, I guess, is the challenge, right?
Yeah, founder presence and real conversations is super easy in the early days because you can speak to people, you can pick up the phone and yada, yada, yada. As the brand grows, like it's important that it comes from within the team, like the team are aligned about what we're doing. And that was a tricky thing for us actually, because you'll speak to them about why they joined the Absolute Collagen team. They're like, I heard Maxine spoke, I really resonate with her story. And because of that, you can be quite lazy in terms of teaching the brand and having it written down on a piece of paper, because everyone will pretty much say the same thing to a point. And then they'll kind of change the last 50% with their own version of it. So we've spent, I don't know, probably 2 years ago actually getting that more written down and really refining what it means, but actually taking the team through it on a regular basis, like educating them about why we're here and what we're doing. Age is a point of contention that always comes up for us. The collagen market's growing rapidly in the younger age group, so 20, 25, especially in global markets. But how do we speak to a 25-year-old and also our core customer? So that could be a bone of contention. And it's just about, okay, well, we've heard everyone's piece. We've seen the data. Let's make a decision. Let's write it down and let's move on. But it's having everyone aligned culturally and making sure that everyone's got the same values. Our internal values are ACER. So ACER, which is authenticity, collaboration, entrepreneurialism, and responsibility. So we've got a really good internal culture. The team are really great. We'll sometimes have our customers competitors will do comparison ads. Like we would never do a comparison ad, but some of them are really quite wrong. Like they're just blatantly wrong about us.
Yeah.
But the team know that what we're doing is we're always trying to stay elevated and stay above. So we use Maxine and me, the founders, quite strategically with our roles. So we'd never speak about something that we're not credible to speak about in instance. And it's all about building that trust with the consumer. So Maxine's not going to start speaking about the science behind a product, but she'd interview me or she'd interview an expert on said topic. So yeah, it's interesting, but I think it's all come back to like internal company values to make sure like your tone of voice and things kind of withholds in the system, especially when you're creating a load of content like that's going through iterations and iterations, systems and people and it gets spat out in a completely different way that it got briefed in on. As long as you've got the parameters in place, it works quite well. But there is definitely the risk that growth lets you feel less human to a lot of people. But you're just trying to balance both. You've got to professionalize the business without like affecting its humility, I guess.
Conundrum and a half, that is. You just gotta, how do you multiply yourself and stay human as the brand grows? What's the size of the business like in terms of headcount?
I got 70 plus.
70, and same place? Is everyone in the same location or some remote? Okay, yeah.
We're in Birmingham, but if you're in Birmingham, you go to Manchester for Media City or you go to London for London salary. We're Birmingham, but a lot of the team are quite spread out. Some of them are on sort of 1 day a week, but core is 2 days a week in Birmingham.
I see. Yeah. No, just I think it's in terms of culturally keeping everyone aligned when people are in different offices, that can sometimes also be quite hard.
Yeah, and I think people need to have a reason almost to come into the office nowadays. It's not like come in and sit there and do work. We've got genuinely the nicest office, and we have a snack drawer, which is like the best thing, and like we do lunches, and the team generally, because they're all here for a similar reason, and it's not just a job for a lot of people. Like we've had quite senior people come in and take, basically a step down because they're like, I want to do something that really matters. It's lovely speaking to the team. And after a weekend, I'm like, what did you do? And they're like, oh, I went camping. And it's like, how was it? And they're like, it's great. All I did was speak about my job. And my wife or husband's now sick of it. I wake up in the middle of the night and I think about Absolute Collagen. I'm like, oh, is that a bad thing? They're like, no, I've got ideas. And that's really lovely to hear. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Amazing. You've got a great team. Just moving on to, I guess, touch upon retail a little bit. We spent a lot of time talking about acquisition and DTC and that side of things. So you went into Boots last year, I believe. You've got some data now. I don't know how much data Boots actually is sharing because I know there's cost attached to that, etc. But do you feel like you found new customer with Boots launch? Or do you feel like the same customer just buying through retail?
For Boots, the customer definitely has a different demographic. For sure. Do we see cannibalization? Yes. Is that a bad thing? Not always. So there's this trade-off there that, oh my God, direct-to-consumer margins are so much better than Boots, but oh my God, you're paying so much more on direct-to-consumer to get the customer in the first place. So there's definitely a trade-off between the two. Boots was a really strategic choice for us. As you mentioned, we were direct-to-consumer until 2025, just on Amazon as well. But for us, it was, how can we create the trust within a retailer or additional trust to the brand within a retailer? Boots is the number one trusted retailer for beauty in the UK. Also, until they use this fact, but I don't know how true it is. I think they're dining out on it. But 50% of beauty is sold through Boots. And we're supplements, but we sit in that kind of beauty space. So you're going to get the trust and you're going to get the volume from a retailer like Boots, but you can't just sit your product on shelf and expect it to sell. It's about accessibility as well. Like a lot of our customers rely so heavily on a product that if the delivery is a bit late, it's like really, they're not very happy about it, which is completely fair, but it enables them to go and pick up a box from a retailer. And generally seeing products on shelf amongst the sea of other competitors and just, walking past and having that kind of brand affinity and resonance there, like it really helps reinforce the kind of credibility. And I think it's the reason why you need to show up in 37,000 different channels as well now in your marketing efforts, is because it's just good to have that reinforcement and it's there and you're not missing from the crowd. And yeah, we actually really enjoy working with Boots. It's different, working for a retailer like Boots. I don't think anyone should just take lightheartedly. Like, you need to get your shit in order to actually work with them. Like, if you're off shelf, you're out of stock, it's going to cost you money. But if you're doing something that they're keen to do and push, you can both win in it, really.
Yeah, no, very interesting. What in your opinion has been the hardest thing
In
in
Boots,
terms of, in terms of relationship with Boots? Yeah.
I think just maintenance, like maintaining the relationship. Like, if you're not gonna, what would an example be? I don't know, summer skincare edition or Mother's Day or Father's Day or something. They're not just gonna put you in things like that, especially for free, unless you're not going, can I be in that? Here's why I should be in that. Here's my things. So unless you've got proactive team, I think going into any sort of retailer is going to be an uphill battle, just because you're constantly, I think there's a wild figure in supplements and wellness in Boots about sales versus new product launches versus existing. And so much comes from NPD in Boots. There's so much noise in NPD in Boots. And even if that's like a flavor change or a new product, is if you're going to go in Boots and not iterate and not develop and not change, it's probably not the place for you.
Wow. Okay. Would you say that's true for retail in general, or is
I
it just
think
a
so.
Boots? Yeah. Okay.
Like, so we have sort of gold launches and bronze launches a year in terms of product. And a gold launch might be like our new Sculpt Pro product, for instance, which is a nutritional support product for people on weight loss journeys. But our bronze launch might be like a new flavor iteration. And whilst you'd be like, well, do we need new flavors? Is that incremental? It's like, well, one, if we can get customers on a product they like, yes, it is incremental because they're going to stay longer. But two, it creates noise and PR and those sorts of things, which is really helpful. I was looking at it the weekend actually about our current product. You'd think we just have, this one amazing version of this product. I think we've probably gone through about 7 versions of the same product.
Well,
Changing sweeteners in the early days, changing preservatives, more efficacy, more vitamin C, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, you're constantly upgrading, I think is the better word, actually.
yeah, that makes sense. And have you sort of thought about formats as well in terms of gummies is the sort of the new thing in the sector? Is that something that you're considering?
Yeah, so the collagen market in the UK was grown to be liquid because we started it and it was liquid. If you look at other markets, generally powder. It's this massive thing when it comes to collagen, but powders are cheaper. Convenient powders are cheaper. So the volume is actually growing a lot in that powder space, for instance. So we found a powder supplier that we're happy with, and we've got the same efficacy as our liquid product, which is great. So we've gone into that. In terms of gummies, so we created a gummy actually a while ago. Collagen is similar to gelatin, but it's not structurally the same, so it doesn't hold like a gummy. So you basically need the jelly or the gelatin, which is holds together, plus the collagen. So you're basically eating like a big bag of, candy kittens every day, which is quite big. So from one of our sachets, which we have this like standard 8,000 milligram dose plus vitamin C, you'd need 16 like ibuprofen sized tablets.
Wow,
So
okay.
we about that in gummy form, like there's a lot there. Gummies are getting proper bad rap at the moment, actually.
Yeah.
The whole efficacy thing, and they genuinely, for a lot of things, like patches, patches you stick on your skin.
Yep.
Patches have a place for certain ingredients. Gummies have a place for certain ingredients. But for the customer to figure out what works where, it's just impossible. So yeah, I think people or brands definitely need to take more of a responsibility in checking the efficacy of their product after 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. And even if the stuff's there, like I know stories of kids' gummies that are on the shelf after 6 months or 12 months, manufacturers testing them and they're just sweets because all the, evaporated. You see a B vitamin in a clear bottle, like the B vitamin drinks.
Yeah.
B vitamins are like sensitive, so they just disappear.
Right.
So and I don't think people genuinely don't know this stuff.
Yeah.
And the consumer's never going to know. So we're trying to get at the moment more regulation in supplement space, because anyone can launch a supplement tomorrow. You could go buy some collagen and start selling it on Amazon. Cosmetics, however, is the most regulated thing ever. Like, you have to put everything, your toxicology reports, your safety reports, to the government portal. But for some reason, supplements classed as a food, so it's just like left.
Yeah,
Wait.
well,
People want to make money, so people don't, and they cut corners.
very interesting. Wild West out there by the sounds of it. I mean, yeah, I didn't know the fact about the vitamin D and it evaporating. I actually had no clue. Learned something other than just business stuff on this podcast. I need to start looking at supplements a lot more carefully. And, you know, like you said, the efficacy of it. Yeah, no, very interesting. I think moving on to kind of the last question, in terms of you build the brand, I guess, from 0 to 30 million plus, somewhere in that region. And I think US and China may be on the cards from what I've heard and seen. I guess the question is like, what do you think it will take to enter a brand new market? You know, you're an unknown quantity. People don't know you, don't have that personal brand that you have in the UK, perhaps, to the same extent that you will in the US and China. Like, what do you think it would take to start again?
It's going to be a completely different approach as it was in the beginning of Absolute Collagen. Now we're going to go into markets. You're going to need that brand-led approach. You're going to need that support from, not necessarily out of home, but influencers, and you're going to need boots on the ground, in my opinion. I think you can navigate things from the UK quite well, but I think there comes a point where you're going to need either a team or partners. And I don't think we can just think about switching some meta ads on in America and just thinking they're going to work. They might do for certain nascent categories for sure, but collagen's established now, and we also have different points of difference that we kind of need to communicate. Like, we're pretty much, well, we are the only single sourced marine collagen on the market, and the traceability and efficacy, traceability is really important to people. So how do we kind of communicate that? So for us, it's actually looking at the markets you've got this business model that you have, right? And that's direct to consumer predominantly, blah, blah, blah. But does it work in those different markets? Is the playbook replicable? Whilst we wouldn't necessarily alter our demographic customer-wise, even though, say, China is looking to be slightly younger, more of a preventative market, how do you kind of maintain? You can't change your brand essence and you can't change your brand values and expect it to sort of work in another market. I think that's quite crucial, but you can alter sort of demographic and channels and way you market. But if you're changing up completely everything, it's probably not the right market anyway.
Yeah.
But I think it's about that sort of full marketing approach, rather than, let's just do some paid ads like at the beginning of AC.
Yeah.
But I think it'll be more of an uphill battle. Like, I remember our CPAs in the early days were just ridiculously cheap. It was mad. It's a great time.
Yeah, no, I think American market probably harder anyway from a CPA perspective. The budgets are insane as far as meta advertisers are concerned in the US. Do you think the route to market in America particularly is Amazon and then DTC, or would you say that?
I think that's what Amazon has evolved so much in the past 10 years, right? 10 years ago, Amazon was this platform which was clunky and super, super efficient. You know, I remember watching series of Dragon's Den, and they'd be like, well, you can't have a brand that's only on Amazon because that doesn't work. But people don't put enough time into their brand treatment pages on Amazon, because people are generally discovering brands on Amazon now. And whether you're an Amazon only brand or not, you can now make your brand look pretty and show up how you wanted to show it, whilst adhering to the Amazon playbook and keywords and reviews and that sort of thing. So yeah, I like testing markets with Amazon in the first point. I think that's quite good. We've also launched like meta ads in different markets, and then just put them to the site just to see if we get click through. And just tested that sort of thing as well, which can be quite helpful, just to know where you're going to get kind of uplift. And, you know, it tends to be, funnily enough, in Europe, the 5 main Amazon countries that always tend to work, but they're most similar to the UK market for sure.
This has been sort of packed full of insights. This is a off the cuff question. How do you got a team of 80? How do you keep people happy? Very broad question.
No, I think it's a completely fair question. There's going to be times when everyone's not happy. And there's going to be times when people don't like me and they don't like, you know, what we're trying to do. And not everyone's going to agree all the time. But what we do agree on is what we're trying to work towards. And we're trying to create a brand that allows women to age powerfully at any age. And they do agree on that. We're very gut driven as well, me and Maxine as founders. And it's also learning, we've brought the right people in place that they're not like data, data, data. And I think we managed to combine that insight approach with, yeah, but what about this? Or have you thought about this? And we've brought the right people in, like our CEO is incredible, and so are the team. And they generally have the motivation there and they want to do something different. But I think you're not going to be everyone's favorite person and not everyone's going to be happy all the time. You're going to go through those peaks and troughs like you do in business, and that's going to happen. You're going to have the crazy busy periods and the slightly less busy periods, but they're always, you're never quiet, are you? I don't think. But it's just about respecting people. And you'll come into our office and no one will be there at 5 o'clock. Everyone will go home. Like, we're not trying to make a workforce of slave drivers. Like, people work their hours, and if it's a busy day and they need to do more, they'll do that, and they are 100% committed. But
Yeah.
there isn't that. People spend so much time at work. There isn't that kind of, we try not to put too much pressure on people, but people put the pressure on themselves because they're so motivated and want to show up and do their best. But yeah, it's just trying to create a fun environment where people actually want to be part of, really.
Yeah. And some snacks always go a long way.
Snacks and food, honestly, huge drivers. We've got on Thursday, it's our 9th birthday. And so we do bake-offs. So we're doing a birthday-themed bake-off this week,
Amazing.
which is my favorite day.
Yeah, get people excited. Oh, wow, fantastic. Yeah, look, absolutely amazing conversation. Learn a great deal. Thank you so much for your time. Before I let you go, where can people find you?
Brill. LinkedIn, or I tend to say Instagram, totally honest, just Darcy Laceby. I check that more than my LinkedIn, but genuinely any questions about anything that I've said, please do reach out and I'm more than happy to get back within 1 to 3 working days because I'm pretty shit on my phone.
All noted. Brilliant. Darcy, thank you so much for your time.
Well, thanks, Raman.